I am convinced that the people who gave this school shooter a platform are the same people who write love letters to serial killers that are in prison.
Hey my people, this is another TikTok video that is trending right now and you'd love to hear this. A school shooter is documenting his redemption on TikTok and people are worried not only of his presence on TikTok but also he's taking over the internet. He has accumulated a lot of followers, and not only he has followers but he's also earning. He's earning from what he's calling now he's calling himself a mental health anti-school advocate, and while he's denying most of the crime he committed, and he's saying that his intention was never to harm anybody. Back in 2016, he showed up in his high school back in New York, in Albany, and it was also reported that he had shot a school teacher. So this is where we are at. Is he at the first place allowed to be on the internet? And not only being on the internet, but also he's monetizing his crime story. So what do you think about this? Let's look at what TikTokers are saying about this. But bottom line, they are really worried. They're wondering if they are safe and why is he on the internet. So that's the point here.
Only on TikTok will we see a school shooter, somebody that wanted to mass unalive everybody in his school when he was 16, have a platform on TikTok. He was looked at by everybody at his school and his peers as a very troubled person. He had lost and ruined all of his friendships. He was not a good student and he was not good to his peers. And from what I got, he was just a very problematic kid. Now, what John likes to tell everybody on his platform is that he went into the school with no intention of harming anybody. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense considering he had rounds of ammunition in his bag that he walked in with his shotgun. He had about 20 rounds of birdshot in his bag. His gun was a one-pump action, so every time that he shot, he needed to reload. Now, John shot 3 rounds altogether, which means after each shot, he would have to open his gun and put another round in it. In John's story on TikTok, he also states that the principal had no idea what was going on and he was just hearing all of this commotion, so he went to check it out. The truth of the matter is everybody in the school knew what was happening when it started happening. At least 1,000 kids were transported on buses out of the school. The rest of the kids were shoved in their classrooms and they barricaded the doors. The principal saw John in the hallway with the gun and decided to try to take him down. During this struggle, the gun went off and shot a teacher who was coming to help. I also want to mention, before this struggle even happened, he pointed the gun at a classmate and almost shot him in the head. During John's entire trial and sentencing, this is what his face looked like. No regret, no emotion. John even submitted a letter saying that the court system and DA lied on his name. The DA and the court said that he was emotionless and not remorseful and that he studied Columbine. John says that all of these are lies. This man is not a victim. And I do not believe any school shooter, no matter the age, should be given forgiveness.
That's our opinion about this. Also remember that on the other hand, there are people who are defending him on the internet, and he is saying that his intention was never to harm anybody. And you hear what this lady has just said, that he was always with gun in school and he was all harmed, and that was his main intention, and he was a danger to the society. So what assures us that he's fine right now, and why should he be on the internet at the first place? So what those people are concerned about, I don't know what's your thought on this. Let's leave your thoughts in the comment section, but also friends who have spoken concerning him, one of his close friends. I will let you listen to the clips as we get going.
Goal is not redemption for the school shooting I committed. My goal is prevention of other school shootings. That's why I'm on here. That's why I share.
So he says after being part of the problem, it's time to be part of the solution. But I'm going to give y'all some fallacies that I detected. Now, I probably shouldn't even be questioning this, but he said he wanted to end his own life when he decided to bring a gun to school. This man shot open fire into the school, and he actually ended up shooting someone, and that's why he went to jail on a attempted murder charge. But my thing is, he keeps saying like, oh, I wanted to end my own life. I didn't want to, suffer anymore. And I used to be like that too. But I'm like, why did you try to just do that? Not saying like literally, obviously, but you willingly decided to open fire and harm other people. And imagine being this man's classmate or the person that was just in the school that day, and you see this man talking about something that traumatized you for years, something very shocking that happened to you in your life, and you see the person who is responsible for that monetizing and creating content about it. He keeps saying preventing school shootings. What is something that this man has done that's prevented school shootings? Like, I'm just confused.
Well, for those who don't know, I am a school shooter.
You see, me and you, we had the exact same thought. You see, his entire account is about being a part of the solution after being a part of the problem. With over 250,000 followers, this former school shooter, attempted murderer, has built a platform based on advocacy, and I knew there was more to it. So let's see what we can find.
I believe that people can be racist against a white person. I do, and so does the man who attacked me with swords. He almost took my life while calling me the white devil. And I'm even going to show you a video clip of him telling police that he did so for racist reasons. Now let's look at the definition of what racism is.
So you come on the internet after serving almost 2 decades for being an attempted school shooter, attempted murderer. In the midst of your advocacy videos, you want to preach to us about privilege and the racism that you can experience as a white man. Let me be very clear. Any white person that believes in doing the work, dismantling racism, oppression, and all of the things, would never open their mouths to have this discussion, this debate. Because can you be racist to white people? It's just a tired debate based on semantics for racist white people to not take accountability.
I used to be friends with John Romano. We were mutuals, and I'm telling you this not because I like feeling stupid and looking stupid, but because I think people need to know just how calculating this man is. Because I got duped. We all got duped. Some of you guys blessedly were smart enough not to, but I wasn't. I met John when he went viral after being attacked by a man with swords at the homeless shelter he worked at. Is that not the craziest shit you've ever heard? It was for me, and so I followed him on TikTok. He followed me back. We became friends immediately. We were talking pretty much every day in some capacity, like messages back and forth or comments or whatever. What's important to note is that during this entire period of time, he was only talking about the attack. All of his content was related to his injuries and his hospital bills and like getting better and going home and whatever. That's all I knew, and I think that's all most people knew about John. I think what happened is that over time he got stronger. He was no longer in like a life or death situation, and he was able to switch. Because I think that's what happened. Now, knowing what I know now as of today, because I just found out a whole bunch of shit, I think that's what happened. I think he switched personalities because he was a victim, and then eventually he just went back. Because that is when he started saying some weird shit, and that's when I found out, like 8 months into knowing him, that he was a school polluter, shall we say. So I found this out because I was scrolling and I saw a video and it was John. I was like, oh, it's my friend John, and he was talking about being in prison for polluting a school, and I was absolutely fucking devastated. I thought we were friends. It was really hard to find this out, and I contacted him. I said, John, is this true? And he said, yeah, did you not know? Like, he acted surprised that I didn't know, as if he hadn't been intentionally like withholding this information and not talking about it for the majority of the time that we knew each other. Not just from me, from everyone, because there have been thousands of people I've seen in the past day or so who were like, wait, that's the guy? What? Yeah, so I did not know this. I found out, I was very upset, and then he wanted to tell me the story. So the way he tells the story of the school polluting is so fucking contorted and so far removed from the truth. His version, which he told me, is that he walked into school with a you-know-what, never intended to hurt anyone. He's very, like, he will emphasize that till the end of time. Didn't want to hurt anyone, just wanted to commit slip and slide by cop. And he swears to God that he went to an empty part of the building, fired into the ceiling twice, and then the cops came. That is the story he told me, and I tried to look this up, and that's what the news told me too. The news is just fucking lying to people, because they saw that he was attacked by swords, and that he's been sort of trying to be like a mental health advocate, and they were like, oh, what a good guy, like he's changed. So they believed it, I believed it, and thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people also believed it. So I'm sitting with this information and I'm like, fuck, it's a lot to handle. And then he started talking about reverse racism. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm out. The guy who attacked him was black and supposedly said, like, John's a white devil or something. And so he wants to have him charged with a hate crime, which I did try to talk to him about. It was like a brick wall. There was no point. So I unfollowed him and I stopped thinking about him. And then today, fucking 12 hours ago maybe, a bunch of people are coming out talking about this story. And I found out this way that John is a fucking liar. He didn't go to an empty part of the building. He wasn't just a sad boy who wanted to get, fired at by the cops. He went into the main part of the building and fired at people, not into the ceiling. And he was there to kill. And we know this because he said it, because he left a note. I've never felt so stupid in my fucking life. I really haven't. The fact that I didn't see this is humiliating, but I'm not the only one, and that is because of John. That is because he's an incredible liar who has been manipulating the media and journalists and like people on the internet for years. So I'm pissed. I'm fucking pissed. And I just wanted to give you guys another person's perspective of how he has been managing to like somehow bring these things into the light when he wants to, when it's convenient, and then suppressing it so that he can get views.
I'm chilling, right? And all of a sudden I see, oh my God, a school shooter is taking over TikTok. You have my attention. They said, oh my God, his name is John Romano. I said, all right, I'm gonna look it up. Curiosity is killing me. I want to know, what are we talking about right now? Why does this motherfucker follow me? Bro, when I seen this, I was like, I hit one of these. And his first pinned video is, oh my God, guys, I did not mean to do that, dude. Fucking, I was gonna go in there and just hurt me, myself, and then I accidentally started shooting people. And he damn near got me with that shit, kinda, like, a little bit. Like, okay, how are you gonna do 20 years in prison, right, after shooting up a fucking school, and then be like, oh, I want people to forgive me, I want people to trust me again, and then get on a app with predominantly, like, fucking young people and children and shit, and start lying? Bitch, be honest. You already did the 20 fucking years. Whether you agree with that being enough time or not is your problem, but motherfucker, you already did the time. Just be honest. This motherfucker he literally shot a school up. That is crazy. That is nuts. You're not gonna get back on this bitch and be normal again.
If I had to classify myself in any particular way when it comes to the prison industrial complex, it would be as a reluctant abolitionist. I don't believe that the prison system as it currently exists in the United States and in most countries is actually redemptive or rehabilitatory at all. Also, I think it is a place where most people go to become even worse versions of themselves, both violent and non-violent offenders alike. I don't think it is possible for a person to spend 23 hours a day in a cage and come out a better person. I don't think it's possible for people to be locked in with other people who have been labeled as dangers to society and come out of that situation okay. I don't think it is okay for people to learn warped versions of social order, capitalism, and the barter system in an effort to remain alive and come out of that system a better person. Someone who is able to function happily, healthily, and in contribution to society as a whole. With that being said, I think it's time we have a conversation about what redemption and restorative justice looks like. Because whether or not this guy has actually had a change of heart and change of character is something that I could never possibly know. What I do know, however, is that this is one of the most glaring examples of why not everybody should have a social media platform. I admire the work that this man is doing, going to schools and talking to students. However, I think his work should remain that on the ground, grassroots type of work, possibly even going into mental health and getting a degree in children's behavioral psychology, early childhood education, work specifically with others who have done this, because there have been so many shootings in this country and in Canada, right?
and actually do that hands-on work to try to rehabilitate his peers in this case being other school shooters, and doing that type of work. That's what he actually needs if the goal is redemption. But if the goal is exposure, and whether or not that's the goal, that's actually what's happening. He is getting exposure and a largely positive feedback. That is potentially very dangerous. We live in a culture, and I don't take pride in saying this started with millennials, right? Where people will get on social media and do and say just about anything for some social media clout. There are people abusing and or exploiting their small children for likes, views, and shares. Exposing their entire lifestyles, what they eat, what they wear, who their spouses are, for likes, views, and shares. There are people lying about their background, pretending to have an education that they do not have, etc., for views, likes, and shares. I think it's very dangerous as Gen Z, and specifically Gen Alpha, who are still children at this time, are growing up, to see someone who has basically crimed their way into a social media platform. Because that is your platform, right? You're not on Book Talk reviewing books. You're not on Movie Talk reviewing movies. You're not off of social media trying to make amends for what you have done and the people you have harmed. You have made a platform based on the crime that you have committed. And that's very dangerous. When a person who is already lonely, already feeling disconnected, possibly misanthropic, or even sociopathic, sees that the way to some sort of notoriety or respect or a following or the approval of strangers is by committing this crime, and whether real or feigned, making a show of remorse. It is very dangerous for a person who has committed that type of crime to then essentially exploit the crime that they committed for social media exposure. And as I often say, two things can be true. In this case, multiple things can be true. This person committed a heinous crime while they were still a child. A teenager is someone who can still be accountable for infringing on another person's bodily autonomy. A person is allowed and should grow and change for the better. Change and redemption and restorative justice should be quiet as opposed to loud. And most importantly, I cannot stress this enough. No amount of I'm sorry's and speeches at high schools is going to change the fact that people were harmed. People's lives will never be the same again. And no matter how many people sent you letters, visited you in prison, or came to see you when you got out of jail, that shouldn't give you a green light to then try to make a platform out of the crime you committed against them. And while I think it's great that, this man is not encouraging anyone to do what he did, quite the opposite, I think he should reflect on why it is that he wanted a social media platform in the first place. I think somewhere deep down inside, there's still that boy who felt alienated from his peers, who is getting a little dopamine hit and feeling a little bit of validation every time he gets a positive comment, a like, a share, or favorite on any of these videos. I don't think that the sort of brokenness that would cause someone to shoot up their classmates is something that can be remedied in the prison system. I've already listed the reasons why that is. Nor do I think that it's something that can be remedied on social media. Take yourself offline and do the work that actually needs to be done, sir.
For today, I appreciate that you spent time with me. Remember to like the video, subscribe, share. Don't forget to turn on the bell so that you get notified whenever I have a new video. I don't know what's your opinion on this, but I would appreciate to read from you. Goodbye for now until we meet again.